Microphone check. Cool. All right. Howdy, folks. My name's Dave. I'm a woodturner. I started turning as therapy for PTSD, found out I had a knack for it, fell in love with it, and fell in love with teaching it. So I started this channel to become a better teacher, a better demonstrator, and a better turner, too, because the more I reiterate things that I've learned and working with other turners, the more it gets cemented back into my own head. And of course, there's always the secret sauce, which is practice. I had some fun. I've been having some fun making some little, calling them bee sticks. And I want to have them at my shows. So they, for people who maybe don't want to buy honey, maybe want to support, still want to support um, Heroes to Hives and military veteran beekeepers. And so I came up with this idea to make these little sticks. We got to talking. Um, Joe and I got to talking about Richard Raffin and the. I think one term was ego sticks, but there is another term for them, spellikins, I think. That anyway, it's a lot of skew work on thin spindled items. And I came up with this idea based on that, and it's been pretty fun and a lot of cool ski practice. So basically, I got four designs, and I figure I'll turn, show how each one is made. I want to make a couple of each one, and I'll show you guys how we do it as we go. I think I might need to clean my glasses here. Or at least wipe the dust off. There we go. So it would be nice if I had, I think maybe, I've never used one, but I thought it would be really handy in this situation to have a collet chuck that would fit. This is a 5/16 inch dowel I got from the local hardware store, Poplar. Um, I'm guessing, and they're calling it hardwood and didn't give it a name, so I'm guessing it's Poplar. But it turns really nice for these little sticks, and I've tried different ways to set this up to where I could have this whole piece out, and um, anything that I had right here available to me didn't take away enough vibration, so I'm turning it just a couple inches at a time out of the chuck. I would rather be able to get with the whole piece. Well, I think I'm too tall there. Let's try that. I think I still. Well, no. I got this second camera up. I'm getting my cameras as close as I can get them. And hopefully. the view. Oh, yeah, of course, I could always do this. Anyway, I figured I'd leave the secondary camera here up for a little bit so you can see kind of how I'm standing for this. And just work down the stick. They're all about 6 inches long. And just work my way down. Let's see, I think, or at least I hope, I did not, of course. Who's got the lucky key? Ah, there it is. So I just bring it out a couple inches at a time, and I really make sure that the pin jaws are tightened all the way around. And with the nature of dowel rods, that's actually running true. I always check that if I need to shift it in the pin jaws, I'll shift it in the pin jaws. And it really does depend on the actual wood, I think. In my opinion, it definitely depends. As far as what angle you push wood with the tool steel, um, a good rule of thumb to start from is always 45 degrees angle to the workpiece. But sometimes you'll get a better turning a better cut with a slightly different angle. So you kind of just have to work with what the wood's telling you. Do the weave a little bit. There we go. And I say just work my way down. To put the little piece where I need to. The more important part is further it gets out. So it's still running fairly true, so that's awesome. Let's see, I'm hoping anyway, this isn't too washed out. Let's see. Anyway, the main point of like some of this is ski practice. So right here, I'm guiding the ski from underneath with my middle finger. And supporting the rotating piece as well with the other finger. These aren't heavy cuts. Let's bring that out a little bit more. Getting pretty close to my 6-inch. length, actually.
Paranoid Squatch said, "What you making this?"
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm doing some spindle work, and I'm making some what I'm calling bee sticks. And basically, the end of each one is going to have a like that is going to be painted to look like a bee. I have 4 different designs for these things, but it's skew practice and having fun turning different elements on thin spindles. So uh, just having a good time. So that's not really running
I
true.
am so damn proud of you and your Twitch adventures. Truly.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support for the channel as well. Alright, so that's running a lot better. I had the side camera on too. I'll probably turn it back on here and there just to give people an idea of where it is I'm standing. Um, Chopsticks. Oh yeah, I could do that too, I guess. Yeah. So just turning a bunch of different kinds of elements with a skew, starting with 5/16 inch stock. Um, there's a lot you can do with a skew in a small amount of space. And again, this is really great skew practice. I think, as I said earlier, that it'd be nice to have a collet chuck that I could just really quick spin and spin close just to keep moving this out instead of having to undo the jaws all the time. But this is what I got to work with. I tried coming up with a different setup, and I really don't have. Um, I think I'm going to have to build something, and I really didn't. I don't know if I have all the materials to do it, but anyway, I'm gonna try something to make it to where I can get the whole piece up because I've tried the although well I've tried
Paranoid
using
Squatch
the
said, "Well, yo,
pen
CSLL, that's what you call
turning
it."
uh, live center, but that is not quite large enough. But I could trim the tenon down and fit into that, and that would hold it steady. Duh. So maybe I'll try that next. Anyway, sorry, Squatch. Would you call that a speed collet? Um, I don't know. I guess. Let's see, where are we at on the. Okay, so I'm getting to the point where I need to start thinking about the handle. So continually supporting the workpiece because there's a lot of vibration out here. I'm not really pushing hard. I'm just resting my fingers against the rotating wood, so there's really no friction. Just giving the workpiece some good quality, at least the best of my ability anyway, good quality support. Let's see, I think I could take this hole down a little bit better. I actually did the other day, and it's something I'm going to have to get used to because of the way the crook neck is and the rotation of the piece. It's easier to turn the tool on you, so you really got to take light cuts with those. I think it's my experience so far. I think they would really benefit from maybe a side handle or something like that. All right, so this is my 6. Nope, put that away. So that guy, I can get back there. Let's see what it looks like. Alright, fairly true, so that's always a good thing. I don't have to readjust. Yeah, I think I'll take that down a little bit more. It is pretty fun to play around with this kind of stuff. In a lot of ways, we're only limited by how much time we spend behind the wheels. Practice how much time we put in. And I do enjoy watching production turners. A lot of work that's done with the speed there. I've learned some really nice habits, I think. and learn some new skills. Watching these guys that have been doing it for who knows how long times, I'm sure. Yeah, I've made my fair share of those kinds of design changes, I guess. Happy accidents. So far, not been seriously injured. Hope you keep it that way. I've worked in factory settings, big machinery, and anybody's working in a machine shop, something like that, understands that machines, you gotta have respect for the tools you're working on, the lathes, the equipment, because there's only one thing between you and not you, and that is the possibility of being able to turn the machine off, because machines don't care if you scream. So you always want to err on the side of safety when you're working with power equipment. But design changes, yeah. If you were into jump skates, actually a few weeks ago, yeah. I looked that piece over. I had it drying, and I decided it was not worth saving. Not worth saving. So I got rid of that piece. It was way too dangerous to turn safely. I suppose if I had waited however long it took for it to completely dry and then do a resin casting of it, it would be a lot more stable, but I didn't want to wait around for that. Alright, so that's one stick. So I thread these dowel rods through my headstock, and I'm using 48-inch sticks, but I'm not using the whole 48 inches. This is 18, 20, 21 inches long. I can get three of these little B sticks out of it. Still need to paint the B and go from there. But I wound up cutting the sticks. I can get 7 B sticks out of a 48-inch section of 5/16 dowel rod, but I have to cut it somewhere near the halfway point so it's not sticking too far out of the tailstock, because the rotational forces with the really long piece which is to slap it around and slap around, and I broke a dowel that way trying to use a fully long piece. So about the longest I can put in there is about 2.5 feet before it starts really whopping things around. And so keep thinking like that in mind. As I say, it's always better to err on the side of safety. So let's turn this guy back on. This is it. So we're starting off here. So I'm kind of draped over the headstock. Yeah, it would. kind of draped over the headstock. My arm is stabilized there, and where I'm touching it on the tool rest. It's usually best to work from the area of most vibration to the area of least vibration. But I didn't have that option right there. Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I got the idea. I know you'll appreciate this. Sometimes people they want to support Heroes to Hives or military veteran beekeepers in the area, but they don't really know how, and they don't want to buy. Maybe they don't want to pay $100 for, or they don't want to pay. They don't want to buy a whole jar of honey or whatever. I'm making these little sticks for that very reason. I put them back inside, but basically that's a bee, and I painted yellow, black stripes, and black eyes. And then on some of the other ones, I've got designs where it looks like they're hopefully, in my head anyway, that's on a bud of a flower or a clover bud, whichever suits your fancy. So I'm going through all those different styles. I'm making a few of each one. I've got, the bee that's facing down, the bee that's facing out, and then two different flower motif turnings. Punch two holes in the opposite side. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I thought about design something along those lines, and have to leave them a little bit thicker than these ones that I'm turning. Actually, I probably wind up using thicker stock and then turning it down to like that being the thinnest point, because that's not too bad for a hairpin kind of thing that you're talking about. I have to fiddle with it for just a bit. I don't think I'd have this kind of issue with a collet style chuck. Still not running true. But part of it is also the dowels. They are as straight as I could get. And some are more straight than others, but there were quite a few that I set aside because they were a little too curvy. Come on. That's better. All right. just a little bit different. Also a good idea. Anyway, in general, working with spindles of this size, smaller, really does take a slow, steady approach. Light cuts are your friend. And don't be afraid to start to cut oil. It'd be nice if I could get just a little bit closer in on the camera. I'm not really sure because I'm really taking really light and small cuts. And I don't know that you can actually see what I'm doing. But the movement is the same for big cuts, small cuts. It's all the same. It's just the distance you're traveling to get to the end point. That's really the only change. I don't know. I guess I really can't say that if we take physics into account, because the larger diameter piece, the more momentum it will have. Get that a little bit better. And potential energy. Because, science, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. But work. My mathematics did not quite go that high. That's fine. I mean, I had physics in college, but you have had. Hey, Evidence, how you going? Toothpicks, yeah, hair ties, toothpicks. I'm calling them bee sticks. I should leave a couple. Let me go grab a couple. I've got 4 different designs of these. The idea started when I was talking with my friend Joe about Richard Raffin, skew turning Richard Raffin, and what do they call them? Spillikins or ego sticks.
Yeah, that might come to the camera for us.
Oh, I'm headed that way. I just collected for them. I'll leave them out here so I can show them, I guess, a couple of times. So this one that I just turned would be one like this. I think that's in the camera. And then the one that turns that face the other direction. So that was kind of easy to do.
Paranoid Squatch said, closer? That is.
Oh, yeah.
Said, oh, yeah, awesome. For honey.
Let's see if that will focus all right. Let's see. Let's get it back somewhere in here, I guess, maybe. And down, down. Waiting for the lag. See if I can get, yeah, maybe. I don't know if that helps. So there's that guy, this one that faces the other direction. And all these elements, almost every single one, I'm turning with a skew. So this is a bee with a little bud of a flower. And this is one facing down with the end of the bud of a flower. And this is, let me bring this one down. All one piece of wood. Just want to show how I turn these guys. These two in a little while.
Paranoid Squatch said, those are freaking awesome. I feel like Ethos would sell those easy.
Oh, I hope so. I think it'll be cool. I'm whipping out a few of them. And if they don't, I still have skew practice, and I can give away gifts or incentives, whatever. So there is a rhythm to the skew, and I think for most people it's individual experience, I guess. There's so many different skew sizes, skew grinds. It's all a personal preference, really. But I think working with the skew, there's a pace to it. And if you can dial into that, some of these elements become easier to turn. maybe maybe we can type out a wood turning romance novel, dude. That's good. That's nice. I'm liking it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's yes. I do. Yeah, I have that. Those I have shirts that say that. In fact, let's see. I think I just saw something I wanted to. Or did I? Yes, make an adjustment on. Please give me wood, the romance novel of the wood. Yeah, wood turning romance novel. That's dude. I bet you that would sell just for the novelty of it. I think pretty well. Maybe we could type out a whole series of wood turning romance novels. Yeah, yeah, that could go places. There's your title, Smooth and Hard. Round and Brown. Ooh, that would be another one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Using Woodturner's euphemisms as the racy titles, man. I think you hit. I think you may have hit on a venture, man. I have to give that one some serious thought. That might actually be something. I don't know how the market is for romance novels or whatever, but I think just for the novelty, like people would buy it just for the novelty. I wonder how many wood turning clubs would have the entire set. I don't know. I realize it may look like I'm kind of fooling around, but that's because I am. None of this is scripted. I'm just turning different elements and having fun with it and really practicing my precision with the skewer. Especially now while I still have the eyesight to do it. And the proprioception, I guess that's the right term, to be able to pull it off too. When I was a kid, man, I felt 60 was ancient, and some of my relatives who were that old were kind of in bad shape anyway. Um, So that's kind of, what I had to base, like, what's it going to be like when I get older. But I just hit 60, and I don't, like everybody else, I had my days, but I'm happy to say that the things that I experienced watching some of my older relatives, I'm not experiencing. It's not like we got a history of, cancers or whatever. I think some of it was, getting through. Some of them for World War One were still around, and then World War Two. I was born right near the start of the Vietnam, or America's involvement, American involvement in Vietnam. So Vietnam, all these wars, continual wars, but a world war, that's a whole nother beast, and one I'd rather not experience. Thank you very much. Regional wars are bad enough. I'm sorry, the public you said it best. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. Yeah, I do remember that song. Alright, so I'm getting in that neighborhood of 5 inches in length, so especially then for spherical shapes, there's a rhythm to it, the way that you have to go across the surface. It's still moving only as fast as the tool can cut. And in this case, very light, small cuts. It doesn't really matter what wood you use. There's denser, harder woods that could take a little bit more abuse, being thinner. Popular, it is considered a hardwood. It's one of the softer of the hardwoods, but it is considered a hardwood. So let's mark out 6 inches. So can get away with, a little bit small diameter, 3/16, without waking it too terribly much. Of course, it's not going to take any abuse, but no turn to piece, no turn to spindle really will. It's the nature of the beast. They are fine, delicate turnings. And it's fun to do them by hand. You don't have any special beading tools or anything like that. It's just good old-fashioned practice. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to go with that. So my handle is going to end somewhere down there. I turn from area of most vibration to area of least vibration to pull this up. You can see by the little, well, I'll show you here in a second. I mean, these are the cuts that I'm making. Little microfibers. Those are still shavings. They're just really, really tiny. And I mean, whatever screw you're using, I used my radius skew a lot more in the past, but I wanted a little bit more practice with this skew. But they both have their, I don't know, I guess pros and cons, if that's the language we need to use. They have their, they both have their place where they shine, in my opinion. But they're skews. They do basically the same job. So here I'm taking heavier cuts, but I'm supporting out here fairly firmly. The light, steady cuts. And this is I did for like 20 seconds. I remember my best friend Dave. Oh, Dave. And then all I have to do this one, that's a little bit more to sandwich, just this little nubbin on the bottom. That's it. So that's two, about 6 inches apiece. Got one more in this particular dowel rod. So yeah, I was thinking about doing 4 of each, but hey, there's I can get 380, but that's gonna be a little bit vibrational. Kind of doing several of each type, as I said, just so I have several different kinds, and who knows who's gonna like what and what not, and what might be popular, what might not. Maybe this one will be a little bit smaller. So I realize I'm not talking a lot, but many of these cuts take a little concentration. Now I get to go back the other way. Nope. Getting closer. Gotta be fidgety with this one the most because there's only about that much more left on the dowel. And it is important that it runs as true as possible. Much better, not great. Because I gotta go back over these dudes. Let's try that. Oh, I'll take that. Not too shabby. I think it would actually be really, really nice if I could get, even if I could adjust the focus on these cameras, that would be awesome. To be able to get closer in there. I really am hoping to at least kind of see how the cuts are happening. Wood turning is mostly finesse, in my opinion. But it takes practice to be able to get to where you can. And, I'm still always trying to improve my turning skills because I think I can still be a better turner than I am now. Doesn't mean I will be, but I'm not going to stop pursuing that and learning as much as I can. And even if it doesn't, maybe I can help somebody else get past there. Improve their skills. Whoa, that's way off. That's off. Looks closer. But it's not. I really hope this isn't one of those that, this can't be. I didn't have any really curled or curvy dowels that I took out of the package store. Well, just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not supporting them. It's just the store I went to, Home Depot. I went to Lowe's first, but they didn't have it. I'm getting better all the time. What they had was oak, and I was looking for it's a poplar. So my fingers are pushing harder against the toe rest than they are anywhere on the wood. And just resting against and letting the wood just roll right by. I'm not really making any contact where I'm creating a friction that's, I mean, I'm barely feeling the wood itself. I don't want to push really hard and then take it out of running through, but also I don't want to push really hard because then I'm pushing into the wood and creating that friction, which would burn my fingers. So it's all a little bit of a dance, especially learning to, well, I mean, not especially, just learning all the little cool things you can do with a skill. And I can't swear that I know them all. Alright, let's see. Yeah, let's go here. So I created a taper. And now I'm running spheres up that taper. Touch this up a little bit. There we go. So where do we go from here? Let's see. That running through. Yep. Let's go back the other way and make it a pattern. Alright. Nice little feature here from the popper. Let's see, how far are we getting out there? Getting close. So I'll mark that 6-inch mark there. So there's just be about 1.25 inches left. So you can make some really, really delicate turnings, and I mean, I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. I'm just freehanding it. I don't have any kind of pattern in mind.
That is.
Kind of freewheeling it. I can do better than that. Come on. That's not too bad. I had a friend in Oklahoma who gave me my first lathe. It was a Harbor Freight lathe. He got himself a different kind of lathe. And so that's what I started on, was a inexpensive Harbor Freight lathe. Went on the inexpensive Harbor Freight lathe. I broke the tool rest twice. The banjo, I actually broke that once. What else did I break? And then I got the bright idea of reinforcing the thing, because it was tubular iron but square. And so it had some flex to it, even though the unit said the length of the bed was, I think it was 2 feet. Maybe almost 3. It said, yeah, it can turn that. Okay, where's that mark? It's right there. So I got this to finish up. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll turn one more sphere right there. Yeah. No, I'll leave it. So anyway, I've had this one since 2015. Okay, 2015. No, I have to look at the purchase records. I think it was 2015. Friend of mine funded the money for it. Allowed me to pay it back as I could, which was really flipping awesome. so that's how I got this lathe. No, you are not. Definitely want to make sure there's no wiggle in the tin jaws, because that'll add vibration too. So yeah, I guess I've been turning on this lathe for 10 years. Huh. Getting closer. I think I can do better than that.
Of that news said, good lathe.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to make repairs along the years, swap motors out, that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's maintenance, right? Been using the hell out of it. Again, I started using it as therapy. I think I can do a little bit better than that. So a lot of really late nights on into the morning, which is one of the reasons why I'm a night owl now. I usually get to bed about 3 or 4 in the morning. Ooh, that was bad. Wrong direction.
Of that news said, hard use, on off, and lots of dust.
Yep. There's no doubt about it. I count myself lucky because if you're man, I swear I gotta be able to get it to run through better than that. Going by amount of hours turned. If you say, I've got 10 years of turning experience under my belt, and you look at it, as a 9 to 5 job, so to speak, 40-hour work week. I think they say 2,000 hours is a normal work year. The first year alone, with waking up from the bed sleep because of issues, dreams, whatever, I come out and turn. So I surpassed 2,000 hours my first year. That was out here a lot. But I mean, as far as time, I've been turning since 2015, but still a lot of hours in there. I want to be the best turner I can be. Still take classes. In fact, I'm going to Aramont in October to take a carving class from Jen Scarcella. I got a veterans scholarship at Aramont for a week-long class. I'm really looking forward to it. Jen Scarcella is a member of our club. I'm on the board now, in fact. Really, really nice guy. There's a lot of carving and really, really intricate, gorgeous stuff, and I want to up my carving game. So I applied for the scholarship and I got it. But never trying to stop learning. It's like I learn a lot even just getting to watch people. course, getting to spend time with them, or take classes with them, or even getting to be an assistant instructor during their classes, of some really great turners that I've taken instruction from. I'll continue to do that as often as I can. Always try to improve. So there we have those three. If I can get them in the camera here. So all turned with a 1-inch skew. Moving on to the next type. So let's see. Let's grab this guy. I think it's this guy. Nope, it's this guy. So this one, that type we just did, has got the B facing downwards. So we'll switch it up and have them face the other direction now. And then we'll get to the first set of little blooms, I hope. If not, there's always tomorrow. That could be a little bit better, I think, says I. This dial is not completely round. That'll work well. So let's go back to the overhead dude. Hopefully my hand won't cover up. Skew cut. I am trying to practice more to be able to just work from one side of the skew. So I find myself over here on the headstock without working that. So I can always stay on this side of it. Not quite there yet. Especially for the really finer cracks like that. You know what, our goose just is going the wrong direction, so we'll just keep on trucking, man. Head's still down. Oh, but the fact that it's not quite round is giving it a little bit of a flat spot right there, which actually is awesome. Wow, I couldn't have planned for that. I think it gives the shape a little bit more depth. That's kind of cool. Come on. So out of all these, there's no real like special cuts. It's just placing the part of the edge of the tool that you need in the right spot. Let me see if I can get it just a little bit better than that. Let's go there. And then, of course, carrying through with the cut. But even on the small ones, there we go. Even on the thin, the small cuts, you want to carry through. I think this guy could stand to be honed. So I'm going to do that. There we go. Now, I don't know about anybody else out there as far as how they judge the sharpness of their skew. I do it the same way I do with a knife blade. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's a knife blade. And I'll press it against my fingernail, and if I can drag it without getting catching in the keratin, then it's not sharp enough. But just touching it and I drag it and it peels off a little bit of the top surface of the keratin, then I know that that's the sharpness that I'm looking for. So the cool thing about all this, I guess, I don't know, it's even one of the cool things. It's not the cool thing. But there's really only three shapes you can make with wood turning tools: straight line, a curve, or a decline. And a skew does all of those things very well. How you tie all those things together, based on what's in your head, is what creates the shapes that I turned up with. This is great fun and great practice for doing furniture restorations and stuff too. This is a smaller scale than a lot of the larger chair pieces and cabinet stuff like that I've done, but it's still the same exact process, just a lot more detail, smaller detail.
Paranoid Squatch said, in Metzler, the chip looked like a 6. Is THST True Light Wood looking too?
The ideal chip looks like a 6. Um, well, it's going to vary to begin with between green wood and seasoned wood. Green wood is going to throw a longer continuous shaving than seasoned wood will, because as the shaving's coming off green wood, of course, it's able to flex because it's still green, so it can flow right out of the flute. And with seasoned wood, sometimes those shavings will break off, and so they'll become shorter. Whatever that word is defined in your head is shorter than like the longest streams you can get. I mean, I've thrown off pretty long continuous streams off of green wood of shaving, of one single shaving. So there we go. I think like an ideal shaving. That's a darn good question. I have not heard of anything like that happening in the wood turning world. The perfect shaving. No, I mean you want your tool in the right position to create that shaving. And that shaving is just like, well, especially if you're doing spindle work. It's a or if you started off something. However, you're cutting through from smallest to largest diameter. If you're depending on how your piece is oriented. In spindle orientation, you're going from larger diameter to smaller. In bowl orientation, it's the other way around. You're going into the direction that your cut is supported ahead of you. So downhill to the fibers is what is often said. Um, so that under wherever your bevel might be registering, that is all supported. The cut itself is supported by the layers underneath. So that would be like the best shaving, I guess. The best cut is that you got the tool in the right position and you're pulling off, a steady stream of shavings. I don't know. I don't think there is a. I mean, they all curly Q up anyway, so. But I haven't heard that. Yes, that's what But it makes sense with metalworking why that would be. Uh, Oh yeah, for sure. Faux show. That's what I'm always shooting for, the least amount of salmon. Okay, there it is. So I should be getting close to 6 inches. But not that close yet. Yeah, I might have to check out color chucks and see if it's something I should invest in if I'm going to do a bunch of these. It would make it easier just to be able to spin it once, spin it, close it off again. That would be a lot nicer. And I think it would keep everything straighter than the pin jaws on this guy really do. It kind of depends on where it bites into the wood too. So, look with what you got, right? I guess you really can't do otherwise. There's my mark. Please run true. Yay! Continue to work the light cuts. It's going as fast as the tool itself can cut. There's another one done. All right, so this one we'll do going in the right direction where the head is facing out. Yeah. Looks like that gets washed out. Let's try it over here. So, yeah. Nice, nice. Next one.
That is, said, pretty nice.
Thank you. I think, well, I've said it many times. I really do think that the skew is a very important tool to learn. It does some really, really great stuff. Really, really well. I mean, after all, it was designed. This Phillips turning tool, right? I can't wait to show you the technique I use to make those little flower heads. I happened to see a YouTube video by a French turner. He was an older guy and he did a lot of little flowers from tree branches using this technique. And another reason to say that the skew is very versatile. Someday, I do hope to be better with it again. But I guess that means I should probably practice with it. It's just fun to do, be able to do these spindle turnings. It does take at least partially steady hand, but some of that even can be mitigated if you're only traveling as fast as the tool can cut. Especially with this thinner stock, you don't want to push against it and impart vibration into the piece that you're turning, or at least as little as possible. Everything that I'm doing here has got a light touch. And they do sand as they go. You don't need to hit it very hard, but it's a whole lot easier doing it while it's stable than it is when it's way out here on the end. Alright, I think I don't know what to call these features. Call them dog bones, but so I'll make one and stay in the talking to so maybe finger bones, I don't know. I think that's an interesting shit. So for too long, I'll have 50 of these. I think that'll be a good start. So one more of these, and then I'll get into doing some of the little blooms. Whoopsie daisy. Ooh, I wonder. Let's make a transition. Just got to thinking how. Ah, no. How thin I can turn these beads. man, that was a really light touch. Where'd you go? There you are. I really think I'd like to turn some chessmen. I have a prototype of a piece, and it's got a stem on it that's 10 inches long for a palm. I can make a few like that. Okay, here we go. See, what am I looking at? 4.5, 5 inches there. 5 inches. Alright, so I'm getting close to the end. And I have dropped. Yeah, there it is. The abrasive. So that's with the 1-inch skew. I'm at 5, right? Well, whichever skew you're comfortable with, how's that? Whatever size. Clearly, I'm not going to use a quarter-inch skew for a large piece. But you can use a larger tool to make smaller shapes, smaller turned objects. I mean, there's going to be a limit to the size depending on what the tool reach and the edge come into play. Just that. It's just I suppose everybody has perhaps a pinnacle of what their tool or their skill level could ever aspire to be. Maybe. But not only is there plenty of room for that in the wood turning world, that voice is just as valid as the one next to it who's maybe surpassed that level a little bit in some way that their skill levels improved beyond. There's probably some things I just won't have the skill level to turn. Maybe. It could happen. But I don't think that I'm trying to be the best turner on the planet. Not that I think that's even possible. I just want to be the best turner that I personally can be and help other turners reach that goal too, if it's the same goal. If that's their goal, improve their tool handling skills, improve how they look at and work with wood. It's just not getting there. Just moving it little by little so I can get it fairly running true. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to be better than that. I may not be able to get it. It won't be for lack of trying.
Paranoid Squatch said, Dave can now show those pieces again.
Oh yeah, hold on a sec. I absolutely can. Ooh, is that the one? Nope, that's not the one. Reach over here and fish them out of the pile of. I just put the turn sticks in there on top of them. So here's one of them. Facing downward. I got another kind that's facing upward. Another one facing upward with a bloom. And then one facing downward with a bloom. And so basically, like this guy, this will be one of the outward facing ones. Still got to paint him yet and all that. I think that's the boring part. This is the fun part. Is the turning. Goodness gracious, man. I don't know if I'm ever going to get it. I really want to get as close as I can to running true because I got to finish this off. But that could be it. That's a trip, man. It shouldn't move in the jaws like that, but it is. Alright, I'll take that. That's pretty close. Getting kind of tricky to hold this still, the sand right there. There we have it, another one down. been on time. All right, so these are taking me about 15 minutes each to make. But yeah, I mean, it's the intricate detail that you can put into something with a skew is pretty phenomenal. All right, let's do some with the blooms on. I think I had intended this end to go in first. So I think I had, yep, 6-inch marks already marked on this one. Yep. Groovy. All right, so the first one, we'll do a bloom on the end. And how that's done is you use the point of the tool and you start making a peeling cut, but you drive that point up. Oops, the glue fell on it. And make successive layers by dropping down into the timber little by little. I'm going to start pushing over because I'm thinking the trouble I'm having is because I'm sticking kind of far out of the cut for that. It's getting some vibration. So I just want to take that point, flour that up, just roll that up. And as it gets, the diameter gets thinner and thinner, you're basically moving up the spherical shape. And that's what gives it its round appearance. So there's a little bloom. Undercut a little bit. And flour that stuff up just a little bit. So now I got some on the underside as well. And make that a little bit thin. What I want to do is have these head in this direction also. So that I can kind of sort of give it maybe the hint that that's its proboscis coming off the funnel that into that balloon. As I said, I saw this technique done. Out there in front of it, just take tear gases. Put up all the ends that way, and then assemble it into a bunch, and it looks like a bunch of flowers. Little miniature flowers. It's kind of cool. I've done that with green wood. It works really, really great with green wood too. So now we got a bee going for some pollen or nectar, or maybe a little bit of both. Especially when you're doing stuff like this, man. Seriously, if the cut's not going well, start it over. You're only in a disaster if you don't. Always trying to go for the best piece I can trim. That was the heaviest thing I'm working on. Yeah, I would really be nice to have the camera to get a really nice close-up. So y'all let me know if you can actually see the shavings on the camera, but I'm suspecting that you can't. You see them coming over the edge there and how tiny they are. And those cuts up. There's my 6-inch little handle marker. Untrue. Oh, you're so close. Nope. Gonna dial it in, man. There we go. That I'll take. A tiny little nub. Cool, so paint eyes up there. I don't know what color that will be, and that's one bee going after a bloom. Let's do another one. Except this time, we'll put the bloom in the middle. Well, that was my damn practice. That wasn't bad. the dam, you're cutting with the points. And they can be really, really precise. But you can do similar things with the skew. The points on the skew. Alright, so I need probably about that much. Let's see if it's running true. Nope, of course not. Not quite. I know I can do it better than that. We're not that far down the dowel rod, I guess halfway just about. Yeah, that's worse. Come on. There we go. So first thing is I want to speed this up a little bit. Not strictly necessary, but I'll start my peeling cut. Take it down to there, I guess. Beautiful. Left that side, now I gotta come out from this side. The same thing, I'm just gonna peel up. That gives me the bloom in the middle with the bee going downhill. $10 left. Well, 132. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me this evening, for supporting this channel, being here, participating in chat if you do. Even if you're lurking, you're still watching and you have the channel tuned in. So as far as I'm concerned, you're supporting the channel, and I appreciate that. My name is Dave. I'm a wood turner. I started turning as therapy for PTSD. Found out I had a knack for it, and I fell in love with it, to be honest. Um, it's still very much a therapeutic endeavor for me. But I also found out that I love the secret. So I started this channel. Become a better teacher, a better demonstrator, and a better turner. It gives me more practice, but the more I reiterate the things that I've learned over the years to other turners, the more, of course, it cements that information into my own head. And I am the holder of the secret. The secret to wood turning. So if you want to know that secret, you're going to have to subscribe. And if that didn't work, I'll tell you. The secret is practice. Same as that old joke of how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. And that's maybe for the older crowd out there might understand that reference of how do you get to Carnegie Hall. Well, I didn't get to watch Ed Sullivan's show live. I'm not that old. I did see reruns. I think that's where I heard that first. It might have been Henny Youngman. Comedian and violin player. Amazing, amazing guy. Anyway, not that I know him personally, but his humor was pretty top notch, I thought. But he was on the Ed Sullivan show a lot. Okay, we're just about done with this thing. Anyway, I stream Tuesday and Wednesday evenings from 8 to 11, except for last week where I got burned out from too much heat and did not stream Wednesday. Oh, it's already marked. 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. I have said it several times and still intend for it to happen. It's been pretty doggone busy, but also I got some shows coming up, so I want to add so close a couple more days to my streaming schedule. But that may wind up waiting until after the first weekend in August, where I'll be at the Sutton's Bay art show. July 26th, I will be at the Civic Center here in Traverse City for the Crooked Tree Art Fair. Booth will be set up there. So if you're in town, I hope you'll stop by and say hello. If you're looking for unique turned objects, I also hope you'll stop by and say hello because I got a bunch. And I bet you could find one that you would like to take home. And I would greatly appreciate support that way too. Well, as always, thank you very much for joining me. I hope I have answered your questions with satisfaction. Maybe you might have learned something today, and maybe I've inspired you to go do some kind of your own. I have to wrap this guy up. Take that little nub down. And there's one with the blossom right in the middle. All right, let's bring that guy up. This camera, yeah, it's a pity. I really need to get. I got to try to find a camera that I can adjust the focus on, or focal length, or whatever. Yeah, so I can zoom in on stuff like this. This is very tiny, detailed work. A lot of fun, but and absolutely fantastic practice for a skew. Ditch that guy for a minute and clean that off right there. But I've said many times. I keep saying it. Skew, I think, is pretty indispensable turning tool. I not up to me, but for the things that it does, and it does absolutely expertly. Um, I highly recommend getting your skew skills in order. You can do a lot of really nice stuff with the skew. A lot of really great spin and turning. You don't have to go to a skew if you never want to. There's other tools that will do a lot of the things that a skew would do, but skew is the only one that does a V cut. I guess you could use a point tool for that, but it still won't be as clean as a skew would make it. But I mean, you can turn lots of different details with the skew. I also highly recommend if you can locate. Actually, yeah, if you're on Instagram, Steve the Woodturner, production turner over in England, been turning for well, at least 30 years. I can't remember exactly. And then Dave Dalby, who's been turning for 30, 40 years, also UK turner. Both very highly involved in their communities across the pond, but a lot of great content that they put out, and um, uh, uh, a lot of nice little, I guess you call them process videos, where they show how to make the cuts they make, showing the things that they're working on. They do a lot of production work. You want to get some good tips on skews, and you're not finding them here, which, gosh, I hope you do. But if you don't, check those out on Instagram. You'll find a lot of great information there too. Um, anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for this evening. I'll be back again tomorrow night, 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know. I've got quite a couple of different pieces of wood laying around that I've cut up the last couple of days waiting to turn. But I really want to do some skew work on this one. Just do nothing but skew, which I did for 3 solid hours. I got, how many pieces did I get here? Oh, dropped one on the floor. Thankfully, there's shavings on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't count. 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, just 8. I thought there was more. All right, so 8 in 3 hours. That's not too bad. Oh, bend way over. There we go. Did I count right? Yeah. Thought I had one every 15 minutes, but I guess I don't. That would be 1 hour. That'd be 2 hours worth if it was one every 15 minutes. But a lot of talking too, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not a lot of talking. Doesn't matter. I got 8 in 3 hours, and that's not too bad. Plus, talking about tool work and all that. This, that, and the other on chat. So if it was just me running going, I probably would get one every 20 minutes, maybe. I think that's what I've been working at pretty steady for the ones that I've made. I've made, let's see, 14, 20, 26 of them in like 14 hours, something like that. So that's right in the neighborhood of 20 minutes a piece. It's not too bad, especially working with really thin spindle stuff. I intend to at some point even go even finer detail with a little bit more dense wood than what I got here. This poplar is nice to turn things that I'm turning now, but for like really fine detail stuff like black wood, some kind of denser wood, I can get really thin.
Paranoid Squatch said, "You've used microtooling?"
I have made some of my own,
Paranoid
but I
Squatch
don't.
said, "Ever."
Yeah, no, I got you. I have made some what I call micro tools. I've got a boxer. I think it's in the other toolbox. I've got a little pin vise to hold my little micro tools in, and I've got a micro skew, 2 hollowing bits, and I think I put together a small gouge. I'm trying to remember. I'd have to pull it out of the thing, but I think I put together a small gouge too. Which no, that can't be it. I can't have done that with that. It must be that I created 3 different hollowing tools out of Allen wrenches for tiny 1 inch hollow forms. So that's the only micro tooling stuff I've got. There's some that are sold online. They're called micro tools. They're not as small as I'm talking, but they are pretty small. And this 1/4 inch skew is in the realm of micro tools that I was turning with earlier. It's in the realm of micro tools, but they're smaller yet tools than that. Super fine detail, and that's where I think you're getting into using a magnifying glass to turn. And I don't want to have to go there if I don't have to. Yeah, I don't want to have to go there. That's mighty fine detail, and it'd be fun, and I'd probably have, with some practice, I probably would have the skill sets to do like really super small. I mean, even tiny dollhouse furniture. I can do dollhouse furniture as it is now, but I'm talking like on the micro scale. Uh, yeah, that might be a fun project someday. Just to turn a bunch of little super duper tiny, um, dollhouse stuff, and then build the dollhouse and populate it with all those pieces. That might be a worthy project someday, just for fun. Uh, but even turning the small stuff, I've found it's been my experience anyway. It doesn't matter really how big the piece is; they all basically take about the same time. So a bowl that's
Paranoid
an inch
Squatch
or
said,
8 inches
I
or
should props when you have my
24 inches,
bifocals on high.
they take about the same amount of time. I mean, if you follow every single rule that's ever been taught about wood turning, they take about the same amount of time. Um, they just do. It's funny. Yeah, I mean, turning miniature, you have to slow yourself way, way down because you're working on a very, very small scale. So every movement that you make could spell happy accident if you're not careful. So turning smaller items takes more time at the lathe, but about the same amount of time as like turning a 10-inch bowl. A 1-inch bowl versus a 10-inch bowl. If you have both of them have the same features and all that, it's going to be about the same amount of time because you have to take more time with the smaller piece. The detail is finer, and you're working with smaller tools. So since you're working with smaller tools, you're covering by scale the same amount of ground as you would at a 10-inch bowl, right? So I know it's hard sometimes for people to kind of grasp that, but that's the whole point. It's the scale that you're working at and the size of the tool that you're working with. So if I'm doing a 10-inch bowl and I'm using a 3 5/8 bowl gouge, and then I'm doing a 1-inch bowl and I'm using oh God, what was that, Joe? Was that? I don't think that was a 1/4 inch gouge. Maybe it was a 1/8 inch bowl gouge. I should probably pull it out. Let me pull it out because this guy's tiny. I have not actually. I dressed up the. Is this it? Ah, yes. I dressed up the edge on it because it wasn't quite right, and it hasn't been used yet since I sharpened it. In fact, so if TC Schmo's out there, let me show you, man. So I've got the correct grind on it, and it's all brand new grind, but I haven't used it yet. It's a beautiful grind. So this is a 1/4 inch bowl gouge. But this would take because I've got an eighth of an inch versus whatever. It doesn't matter. It's because of the scale. I have to take smaller cuts on a smaller surface. It's the same amount of time.
Values said, good point. I didn't think of the scale.
And I've surprised people with that too. They go, "Well, you ought to be able to pop out a bunch of those tiny bowls." No, it's not how it works. Uh, it takes me the same amount of time. So for me, let's say a decent rough bowl, less than half an hour. A decent rough bowl at that scale would take the same half an hour to get the same amount of detail to scale. Um, but I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. It's I call that like more technical
Paranoid
turning
Squatch
because the
said,
detail
I
is
told
finer.
you making tiny bowls for the dollhouse table.
Yeah, yeah, and even turning the table and the legs, or maybe just the table and the center column. I might do all four legs. I've turned stools that stood 2.5, 3 inches tall. Done all the joinery work on the lathe, all mortise and tenon on the lathe. They look the stools looked really cool when they were done, and I want to do more furniture at that scale, dollhouse furniture. But yeah, yeah, actually, that could be. Excuse me, I don't know where the gassiness is coming from. That could be another couple of episodes doing like dollhouse stuff, but that it's right along the same lines of what I'm doing today. Um, there's not a whole lot of difference other than you actually have a pattern, right? I don't have a pattern on these. I'm just freewheeling on all the designs. The similarity is the length. which direction the bee is facing, and
Paranoid
every single
Squatch
handle
said, "Winter time is coming."
looks like that. So you can hold on to it fairly easily. It fits right in the fingertips. Those are the similarities. Everything else, every single design on those is different. I could copy the same design, but that would be boring, I think. I don't think that everybody would want. Everybody wants to find a unique piece, right? So they're all unique. Find one that you like. Okay. I hope you all stay friendly, folks. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks again, as always, for the support. I hope to see you
Paranoid Squatch
tomorrow
said,
evening,
"One of a kind."
and I hope you enjoy the rest
That is
of
the way
your
it should
evening.
go.
And
Paranoid
yeah, I
Squatch
have to
said,
agree. It's
"Thanks, Steve."
one of a
A
kind,
values
unique.
said, "Catch you next stream."
I hope to see you out here, man. Thanks a lot. Good night, folks. Enjoy your evening.